Hello and welcome to our podcast that does not have a name yet. I, on the other hand, do have a name, and that's Max Schmidt. Sitting to my right is Lipinski, and later we'll have a secret guest. Today we'll be talking about the NFL season and our predictions for the Super Bowl, players who will not be with the same team next year, and we'll also talk about our fantasy football predictions and things like that.
Hi, I'm Lipinski, and first up we are going to be talking about the NFL season so far. So far it's been a pretty good season. There's been a lot of good games and just a lot of entertainment from the NFL.
The NFC North division has been going back and forth with Minnesota starting out hot and then shit in the bed. Can I curse? Because I just did.
Yeah, we can.
The Bears are 7-2, which I don't think will last for very long. And of course, my favorite Green Bay Packers are taken in the first place of the division, just right away from everybody.
And we forgot to mention the Detroit Lions, who are just bad like always. I think the thing with the Lions is they're just trying to force the ball too much to Calvin Johnson. Even when he's not open, he's their only guy that they go to.
What else could they do though? Like, that's Calvin Johnson. He's 6 foot, 100. He can catch anything. Like, he is their offense. They don't have a defense. It's just Calvin Johnson that he runs that team.
And the other thing too is the reason we don't think the Bears are going to keep this hot streak is a defense can lose. They don't. It's very rare for a defense to keep scoring like they have been. And the other thing too is the Jay Cutler going down this weekend with a concussion is just that hurts. Even though he's not a great quarterback, now they've got Jason Campbell, who is not that good, and I don't know. I just think the NFC North it's probably the division to look out for in the next few years, especially. And keeping with the North is the AFC North, and they're doing. I think that's probably another division that's doing very well. You know, you got Baltimore, who is right now they're 7-2, and that's especially surprising since they've lost Ray Lewis and who's there? Ladarius Webb. Is that they lost? Yeah. All right. Pittsburgh, they started off where everyone's like, all right, the age is finally caught up. They just aren't that good. Big Ben isn't doing too well. And then Cincinnati, they started off really hot. You know, the one game that they didn't do that well in was against Pittsburgh. No, not Pittsburgh. Baltimore the first week, and just watching their defense, they just ate Andy Dalton alive. He did not want anything to do with that game at all. I mean, it was bad.
And that injury to Ben Roethlisberger last week really hurts them. Now they have someone named Brian Leftwich as their starting quarterback. And that certainly just kills everybody on that Pittsburgh offense.
And did you hear that? No. And that Big Ben, his injury is actually like a dislocated rib that is in his aorta. So that, like, if he might not even play anymore this season with that injury.
Yeah, I heard it was just some really messed up, horrible shoulder injury. Yeah, just I don't even know what happened. But with that injury to Ben, I think that could give Cincinnati a possibility at making a good playoff run if they just keep throwing it deep to AJ Green.
And I think the biggest surprise of the year is obviously the Indianapolis Colts right now going 6-3, and I think they really surprised everyone when they came back and beat the Packers because they were down by 17 was it, Max? I know that you probably cried that day a little bit.
Yeah, that was a rough Sunday. Green Bay was up, I'm sure 21-0, either at the end of the first quarter or at the end of half. They had a big lead and they just blew it. That was a bad day. It was pretty salty. But they've done a lot with what people they have there. Like, they got rid of a lot of people over the offseason last year. The only person they kept was Reggie Wayne, and that was about it.
Yeah, they got rid of Pierre Garçon, Dallas Clark. Curtis Painter was a huge loss to them.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing as well they are right now without Curtis Painter just giving everybody the morale and support that they need to get through the season. And Reggie Wayne right now is currently second in the NFL right now for receiving yards with 931. Calvin Johnson, of course, going back to him and the Detroit Lions, just being the guy on the offense, has almost 1,000 yards with 974. It's just unstoppable.
And speaking of stats here, Max, one of the biggest things I think this year is Adrian Peterson coming back from tearing his ACL and MCL. I think it was on it was last year at the end of the year. I think it was Christmas or New Year's, or it was something. It was an actual like significant day. And less than 8-9 months later, comes fully back from that, and he's rushing right now. He has 1,128 yards, and he's tied for second in rushing touchdowns right now, only behind the great Arian Foster. He has right now 7 touchdowns. He's averaging 112.8 yards a game, not a carry. He's averaging 5.8 league leading yards, an average yards a carry, which is just that is just Hall of Fame like. And I think Adrian Peterson is a future Hall of Famer. The only thing that would really help is if he won a Super Bowl, which I hope he will with the Vikings, because he signed a 7-year deal. He signed a 7-year deal, so he's on the Vikings for a long time. And if you haven't guessed yet, I am a Vikings fan, and my co-host here, Max, is a Packers fan. He likes to wear cheese on his head. It's just weird.
It's a good way to spend Sundays, that and winning. Those are how I spend my Sundays.
All right. A few other things here we have here are just kind of go down the list here. Patriots leading the AFC East. That's no surprise. Even with the shitty defense like they have, you have Tom Brady. You can't do anything against Tom Brady. The only surprising thing here is the Miami Dolphins are second in the division above the Jets, but Mark Sanchez he's just bad, and I think that this might be the last year that Rex Ryan is the head coach, because 2 years in a row a New York team hasn't made the playoffs, and as you saw, like say the Lakers for basketball, they started off 1-5 and they fired their head coach. I mean, a big market team like New York or LA, if you're underachieving, you're gonna get shit canned right away. There's no doubt about that.
And the Jets did start out nice with the Rex Ryan Mark Sanchez combo. Sanchez brought him to the AFC Championship game the first 2 years in a row, but he just hasn't been able to duplicate that success these past couple of years.
And all good things, I believe, must end. So,
what are you pointing at? The AFC South it's not a great division, but it's got the Houston Texans are just kind of stomping everybody. The Colts can do some things here and there, but otherwise you have the Texans or the Titans, who have one of the worst ranked defenses in the league. And I'm not just going to say anything about Jacksonville.
And then the AFC West, you got Denver. Peyton Manning came back. He started off really slow, where everyone was, criticizing his arm strength, and that was the main thing, that he's old. He's just gonna, kind of fade out like Donovan McNabb did. Obviously not to that level that McNabb just kind of disappeared, but then you got the Chargers. I don't even know what they're doing there. That 1 week they started Jackie Battle over Ryan Matthews. That was just dumb. Now with Jackie Battle, he doesn't even get a carry in a game. Then you got the Raiders, who I think they'll be good in a year or two. They if they keep Carson Palmer healthy, and they'll probably draft a rookie quarterback, and then Darren McFadden needs to get going, because I have him in my fantasy football league, and he causes the most headaches because you have to play him. Like, he's a player you have to play, just like Chris Johnson kind of is. Like, you have to play them, or else they're not going to, you're going to bench them, and then that's the week they go off, and you'll just be pissed at yourself. And then you got the dismal Kansas City Chiefs, who are they're just garbage. There's not one solid lighting there other than Jamal Charles. He had a pretty big game this year. and I'll send it over to Max. He can kind of discuss the NFC teams.
Starting with the NFC East, you have the Super Bowl champions, the New York Football Giants, they're not dominating this year. They're at 6-4. You would think that they'd be doing better. They've lost to some teams that they probably should have beat. They'll probably be playoff bound again. I don't think they'll go all the way this year. Giants suck. The Dallas Cowboys, they're just falling apart at 4-5. Everyone was hoping they would be a playoff contender. They certainly have all the talent to be, but they can't quite put it together. Then you have Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles at 3-6. I would not be surprised one bit, and I'm pretty sure they are going with Nick Foles to start this Sunday in place of Michael Vick. Who knows how that will work out for him? Rookie quarterbacks.
He looked pretty bad this weekend. I watched the end of that. He didn't look. He's a rookie quarterback who isn't a RG3 or Andrew Luck. He just got thrown into a situation he didn't want to be in on Sunday.
And give him a couple of years, I think he could be an NFL starting quarterback. But right now, he's probably going to throw some interceptions. And then what I'm surprised most about is the Washington Redskins at 3-6. I thought RG3 would be able to get him a couple more wins than that. There's a lot of Shanahanigans going on right now. At least they're sticking with one running back, which I'm glad to see, and they're not going with the three-headed beast of Tim Hightower. Who else was there? Roy Halou and Evan Royster. Yeah. God, that was just not a smart decision. We'll skip the NFC North. Go Pack Go. In the NFC South, you have the finally beaten Atlanta Falcons at 8-1, losing to the Saints last weekend in a pretty close game. Matt Ryan still had a pretty nice game with 3 touchdowns, over 400 passing yards. Like, he certainly did as much as he could to help that team win. And then Tampa Bay is at 5-4 with the rookie sensation Doug Martin just doing whatever he wants to.
And I think everyone's thinking RG3 is an automatic shoo-in for Rookie of the Year, but I think Doug Martin, if he keeps up what he's been putting up, if he keeps that up, I see him being Offensive Rookie of the Year for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to take that away from him. The New Orleans Saints are finally starting to get some wins at 4-5. Sean Payton not being there this year really has hurt him, though. He was a good leader on that team, and him just sitting at home on the couch really has hurt them a lot. And then the Cam Newton-led Carolina Panthers are just at a dismal 2-7. I don't know about you, but I had some high hopes for them this year.
Everyone did it. Even on ESPN, they had them going to the playoffs because they didn't expect the Falcons. Obviously, I don't think anyone's like, "Oh, I bet the Falcons are going to go 8-0 or whatever." And then everyone kind of thought the way it would shake out was Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Buccaneers. But and most people thought maybe the Panthers could make it to that next level under Cam, but just not this year. He's shown his immaturity a little bit and not liking to lose, but that's what happens when you're on a team like the Carolina Panthers. I can't remember the last time they went to anything playoffs.
They were in the Super Bowl maybe 5 years ago. They played Chicago. Chicago ended up winning.
Under Sexy Rexy?
That was under Sexy Rexy. I can't remember what year that was, but I think Jake Delhomme was their quarterback that year. It's certainly, they have not repeated that same success. And I was hoping they would draft some weapons in the draft last year. Maybe get Cam a nice wide receiver. They got a defensive player that I liked, Luke Kuechly. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his last name. He should be just a tackling machine. Give him a year or two.
Oh, the last time they were in the Super Bowl match was 2003. They went, and that was I remember the Bears that year. That was a good year for them.
I have no sense of time if I thought that was 5 years ago. We'll move on to the NFC West now with the San Francisco 49ers at 6-2 and one tie. The first tie of the NFL season this year.
Since 2008.
Since 2008. Was that the Donovan McNabb